Hi, welcome to another session of Grow with Content. This is Payel. This is a space where we discuss everything related to content and we pull up the basics, understand concepts, and learn about how to do things better with content. This can help you as a business owner, marketer, a content creator to get better results from content. Today's session is about good content and how do you measure good content and the impact of good content. I'm joined here by Sneha. She is our head of content. And pleasure to have you, Sneha. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Payal. Same here. So happy to be here.
Right. So let's get going and we talk about good content. I think you had a couple of questions to start with. So let's get started.
So Payal, I'll start with this that one question that I hear more often than anything else is what is good content? Like what exactly is good content? Sometimes it gets a bit tricky to explain it to someone who does not understand content at all. So I would like to know from you that in your experience, what defines good content and how does it differ from bad content?
So I think I'm going to be answering this more in terms of this is not really base level, but for I think this can be understood in case you are already working in content or trying to do something with content. I also do often get asked the same question, what is good content? So I think I would probably talk about a couple of things which can define what is good content. And there are various definitions, but I think this is the most easiest to track if you want to know what is good content and how to create good content for your business. I think we start with searcher intent. Good content, any content should be able to answer questions that the user is asking. So it should satisfy the search intent, why the person is there searching for that piece of content in the first place. So that is the searcher intent. So if you have satisfied the query, why the searcher has come to that place in the first place, if your content has answered those queries, then I think that's a big job done. Number two is you need to make sure that the reader on the page is engaged. It's somewhere the reader is interacting with your content. The person is reading, has read the introduction, is interested to read more. So engagement is very important. The time spent, which basically results to more time spent on the page. And this enables the user to take action. So if you see that the first point, searcher intent, then engagement, and the content should enable action. All these 3 points are very related. Uh, the fourth very important point is that nowadays there's so much of bad quality content, so people should be able to trust the content. So because of the surfeit of very poor quality content, a reader does not know which content to trust and which content to not trust. So it content has to be trustable, which means that so Google has this list of a big document of Google Quality Raters guidelines, which basically tells you what it considers good quality content. And one of the first things that come up is EEAT, which is it is something defined as expertise, experience, authority, trustworthiness. So basically, your content should be able to tick mark all of these basic requirements. It should, through your content, you should be able to show your expertise. You should be able to show your experience. So if, for example, at the end of the content, you are saying that you're an expert writing this content, then the reader is more convinced that you're writing the right kind of content. It's not trusting anyone, right? And this specifically is very important in the categories of YMYL, which is your money, your life, which is finance, health. Is in these categories is very important. Who's writing the content? So, for example, why do you trust WebMD? You trust them because they are saying that this is verified by a doctor, right? That is why we are going to trust that. So, who writes that content? And the authority, like, are you citing the right kind of pieces of articles? You're not just manufacturing the data. That's also very important. So quality is also defined by whether your content aligns with the EAT parameters. It's not a ranking, since not a ranking parameter as Google defines again and again, but it's very important. It's a quality rater guideline. So that's important. Now, The rest of the things, I think, you are also aware of, Sneha, what are the typical things that you come across when
Yeah,
you are editing your content. So I would say
yeah,
satisfy all the quality parameters, right? And
yeah,
it should do, for example, justice to the headline, the length, the obviously the grammar and everything. It should be quality wise,
mm.
it should be all correct. So do you want to add something to?
Absolutely, Payal. So, when it comes to actual content quality, what all you just said, all that has to be included in the content. Plus, when it comes to drafting a piece of content, so things like clarity, clarity of thought, what is being said, how well is it being said, saying it in very simple words, keeping in mind your target audience. Next thing is accuracy of the information you are giving out. That matters a lot because in this pool of information where anything is available with just a click of your finger, uh, to make sure that what you're saying is authentic, it's accurate, it's trustworthy, all the parameters that you pointed out, that's critical. I mean, your content has to have that in it. Next thing is relevance. It should be relevant to whoever is reading it, your target audience. It should give them some value. There should be some kind of a takeaway from it. It can be answering a question. It can be kind of building up with more information on something that people are more or less aware of. It can be something very basic, like breaking a very complex concept into simple points. It can be anything, but that value should be there. The reader should feel like they're taking away something after going through that piece of content. That is very important. And last but not the least, the engagement. It
Right.
should be engaging. It should kind of make the reader or make the audience want to do something more about it. So
Right.
it can be either like they may want to share it, they may want to interact, they may want to send in a comment. There should be some kind of an emotional trigger in your content that should make it engaging.
Right.
Then, of course, content has to be original and plagiarism free. Like till recently, plagiarism was the biggest challenge that we were facing in content industry. Now it is AI generated content, which cannot be termed original content. So the original content, the plagiarism free content, it stands out from the crowd. Of course, making sure that it is optimized for search engines, what you rightly said, the length of your headline, the meta description, the alt text, the characters that you're using, how well are you placing your keywords, are they placed in the right places, do you have your primary keyword in your first paragraph, are you repeating keywords in your subheads, things like that. So all this put together, I would say, kind of makes it good quality content.
So basically, you're talking of in the last episode also we talked about how we can optimize the content. So I think good content somewhere you just can't create good content and just let it be there. It has to be optimized. Google crawlers to find it. And I think one small point I would like to add is that good content is also about visually appealing. It should be visually appealing. You take a
Yeah,
big piece of very good content, put it in a chunk, and just plop it on the website, and it's just one piece of
yeah,
chunk. No one's going to read it, So I think engagement of the content, where the user comes into the website and actually interplays with the content, is dependent on how good the
yeah,
content is looking. Is the headline in a proper font? Is there spacing right? Is there some
yeah,
picture? Is each paragraph neatly and nicely formatted? So formatting plays a big role
yeah,
in the way the content is looking. So I think even that, I would just add that as also an important part, which enables engagement, higher engagement with the content piece, right? So that more or less, I hope that we've been able to make our reader, I mean, our folks here understand what good content is. I think once we've gone through these points, well, it's very easy to understand good content from bad content. So yeah. So what's the next question that we are talking about?
So, now, Payal, you have very clearly explained what is good content and what all plays, very important role in creating that good content. But what about like, the strategy behind creating a good content. How can we get going with creating good content?
Right. So I wanted to know before answering that question that what is generally people who are not in marketing, how is strategy defined? I mean, the question that you just asked. I just want to know how do you what do you hear from people? How what do they think of strategy?
Pile about strategy, I mean, if you ask me, um, mostly the businesses, when you are dealing with businesses and you ask them what is their expectation from their content, I have seen that mostly, the what they talk about is something very superficial. It is about kind of, the content should have enough research, the content should have fact, the content should have this. Many a times, significance of things like who's your target audience, what age group they fall under, which geographies are you targeting, those are the things that are not spoken about that often. Mostly
Right.
the focus remains on the content, and it is just taken for granted that if you write good content, if you do good research, if it is well written, grammatically it is correct, it is well packaged, the content is good. That is
Absolutely.
a good content, of course, but it's not effective content.
Right.
So, so that is where I think we mostly lack on understanding on how to approach creating effective content.
Right.
So,
Right.
how do you suggest we can go about it?
I think one of the biggest mistakes that people do, and you're absolutely right when you say that a lot of businesses just come and say, hey, listen, we just want great content. It has to be researched, and that's it. Like, there is no strategy behind it. And what I mean by strategy is a little different from I mean, usually I've seen people, strategy is a very heavy, broad term. And I think people think of there are various definitions I hear about a content strategy, but actually it's very simple. You need to figure out when you build a content strategy, good content should always be backed up by strategy, because it's like without a content strategy it's like throwing darts into and hoping that it hits the goal, right? So
Mm,
I've had so many meetings with businesses where they just say that, hey, listen, we need to come up with a content plan and let's just create content and let's just go. So that's such a wrong approach, because the reason you need to know why you're going to be creating the content. You need to know the goals. So the first part of strategy is figure out what your goal is. So the goal needs to be, it can be like, okay, I want to grow my traffic, or maybe I want more leads, I want maybe
yeah.
double the growth of this right now. So you first define what are you trying to achieve through content, right? Secondly,
Mm,
and
mm,
like the more measurable the goal is, the that's much
mm,
better. Like, don't just have a broad goal that, oh, I want brand awareness. That's a very big, huge goal. So try and have a more concrete goal that, okay, fine, I'm trying to increase my traffic to double at least, or maybe this number by the next 6 months, or maybe the next 1 year. Good content starts with a good strategy. What that means is that you need to have a defining goal from where you start. It can be, I want to
mm,
increase my traffic double X. Okay. I want to double my traffic. I want to grow my traffic maybe 300 percent more by the next 6 months. Or I need maybe 50 odd leads every month. So you need to know what are you trying to get at. So, of course, then who is your target audience? Who are you going to create that content for? What I mean by this is,
mm,
where is your target audience sitting in your buyer journey? Are you trying to
mm,
create content which is really top of the funnel, which is like awareness content? Are you trying to create content for the middle of the funnel, which is more of consideration, where you're trying to figure out where you're trying to give a little bit more than awareness. You're trying to help the buyer
mm,
decide to go with your brand. He's checked out a couple of brands, he's considering your brand. So are you trying to create there something, or are you coming at the bottom of the funnel where the your brand is already established and you just want to create a very specific kind of content, like comparisons, or maybe the topics are going to be very focused on pushing the user to a deal, a purchase. So these are three. So you need to figure out what kind of content that you want to create, right? For which, where is your target audience, and where is the target audience sitting in your buyer's journey? What format? So typically, you would decide your format based on, again, who's your target audience and where they are sitting in the buyer journey. It could be a long format content or an infographic if you're looking at the top of the funnel for awareness. If you want, you would be creating maybe a video, a case study, a podcast, a white paper in the middle of the funnel, and you would be probably creating, again, a comparison page, a very heavy, a very good landing page to convert the buyer at the bottom of the funnel, right? So you need to know that as well. You need to know who's going to be the team building this whole content, right? And how is the production schedule going to be? Who's going to, who's going to be the editorial system? What are going to be the checks and balances there? And then you need to figure out how will you promote the content once it's published. So how would you reach that content to your target audience? Finally, how would you measure the content? So you have invested this much of money, you've done all of this. How are you tracking your content? So this is basically the strategy, and there's nothing more to it, right? So if you follow these maybe six steps, you have a good strategy in place. Content creation comes as part
Hmm.
of it.
So Payal, how would you say that, like, how can great content influence a business's growth, reputation, and customer engagement? How can great content impact a business's performance?
Right. That's a very valid question. How can content impact your business?
Hmm.
So I think
Hmm.
when your content is good, it helps you do a couple of
Hmm.
things. It will do a couple of things for you. That is, one, it will increase your brand visibility. You're creating, your content for your blog, your website, your multiple other channels. For example, you're doing a podcast, you're doing videos for the YouTube. You are
Hmm.
interacting. The customer is finding you in various different channels, and somewhere the customer is constantly finding you in different places. So there is brand visibility. So the customer is interacting with your brand, knowing your brand more. And finally, when you see a brand again and again and again, you sort of know that, okay,
Hmm.
this is a brand to stay, and it is hitting me with with the answer that I really want. Right. So brand visibility and awareness is a very big thing. And that in today's world is very big. Right. Secondly, one very important thing that content is used for is it builds trust, and it builds the more, I mean, good content creates trust that yes, these guys know their stuff, and I can buy from these guys. So there is that is one of the biggest currencies that you want in today's world, because um, there's so much competition, and the user is wanting to decide who to buy from. Where do I get the right service or the right product? So the more options, the more you can show your customer that, hey, listen, I am the expert here and I will service you better. Like, there's a kind of a trust that we get from certain brands. So that is the play of content. That is what content gives you, and content enables your buyer to take an action. It becomes a part of your marketing, it becomes a part of your sales, right? So then it also helps increase traffic to your website. So your
Hmm.
content is SEO optimized, it's written well, Google ranks it, it ranks for a number of keywords, you get traffic to your website. But what that means is you're definitely getting more and more people visiting your website. They are knowing about your products,
Hmm.
buy, which means that of course there is a high probability of people buying from you as well, right? So
Yeah.
that means that a certain percentage of that whole traffic coming to your website will come down to a certain will basically trickle down to a certain percentage of that will convert to sales, right? So you're getting, maybe they'll go and
Hmm.
sign up on a lead form, on a demo form, on a query form, and that becomes a lead for you. So that is how you're getting leads, right? You're pushing the people more from the broad part of the funnel to the bottom of
Hmm.
the funnel. That is what content marketing does for you, actually. And finally, after the person has bought from you, you don't want to stop there. You want your content to still be going to your customer, because it builds it builds loyalty, right? When you start
Yeah.
hearing your customer again and again after that, it also the person knows that, okay, fine, like they have not stopped because I've purchased from them, right? So that's how it creates a positive impact for your business. So it's a very powerful support for the business. I think that's how these are the top benefits that a business can have if they've done content correct.
Absolutely, Payal. Absolutely. And it makes a lot of sense also. Like, how critical something as simple as content is to everything you do. Like, starting from your brand image to your brand value to becoming your brand voice, all of that. So that was quite very insightful. Next thing, Payal, how can businesses measure success of content on their digital platforms? Like, what are the metrics or indicators that determine if a content is working or it is not working?
Okay, right. So I think one of the important things that we discussed already, that content strategy, it came as part of the strategy, that you should know that if you're investing in content, you should be able to figure out, is this content at all performing? So I think a lot of people don't track that, and um, uh, that is something that we need to do definitely always. So I think I'll talk about the very top things that don't try to track everything. I would say that just go and probably track a couple of metrics only. One that is figure out and you can use your Google search console for doing that, or your Google Analytics. So one of the top things that you can check is, when a content is
Hmm.
published, how many impressions has it got, right? Is it only getting impressions, which means that it's only appearing on search, or someone is clicking on it and coming to your website, right? You can get that data very easily
Okay.
on your website's Google search console. You can figure out how much traffic that blog is, or that landing page is driving. You can figure out how much how much people have actually scrolled or interacted with the time spent on every piece of content. That can also be that data. You can also get that data, and I think that is one of the most valuable data, because that tells you that that content is good. Where a person has spent 6 minutes, you know that the person is likely to read more, likely to engage more, and hop from one page to another, right? So
Hmm.
finally, you should see what are the page views. Like, you should know which content is generating traffic for you, and is it ranking for which keywords, is it ranking for, right? And if it's ranking for the keyword, then obviously it is getting in traffic. And finally, you can also get the data where that traffic, if someone has landed on your blog, has read your blog, has the person filled in a query form. So there's a goal setting you can do, and this data is also available on GA. And you can track
Okay.
actions like form submissions, purchases, or content downloads, whatever it is that the goal you've set on GA for. So also very easily you can understand the top questions that your user is coming to your website for, the queries for which your website they are coming to your website for. So you can figure that out, create content accordingly, or optimize accordingly. So this finally should show you whether each piece, all this effort that's going into content creation, whether that's working or not, right? So definitely this should be tracked. And you can also figure out, by this you can also, by tracking your data, you can figure out that this is the type of content which is giving me more results, right? Maybe a listicle is giving me more
Yeah.
than
Hmm.
a thought leadership blog, or maybe some another kind is giving a better result. So that's very important to know, that to get informed by the data. That shows you what is good content in terms of search also. So good content, I feel, even I think, Sneha, you will also agree that good content has two parts maybe, right? One side is where the whole editorial team, where the things that you would probably look at, grammar
Yeah.
correctness, and what you just talked about, right? The length, the
Yeah.
hook, the research, the material, basically, right? What you're putting out. And the other
Yeah.
would be, is it performing well on search? Because that's important as well. So good content would be a combination of both when it comes to good content for business impact, right? That I think that's about it. I think I've summarized everything. Because I was
Absolutely, Payal. This conversation was so wholesome because from going back to where we started, like, when most of the clients, they come to you with a content requirement. We are talking just on the surface. We're just talking about what the topics we are going to cover. This is the industry we work in. This is what we offer, and this is what we want, and that's about it. But what I understood after this discussion here is that good content is not something that is so well written or something so well researched or something that is so interesting to read. A good content is something that meets its purpose, that reaches its goal, and it is done in a very strategic, in a very thoughtful, planned manner. The writing and editing and making content publishing ready is just like the tip of the iceberg. The whole effort of making it visible to your target audience and prompting them to click on it, and from there getting the desired results that you want from it, that's a very long journey, which can be achieved, which can be completed only with a thoughtful content strategy and a very good execution of the same.
Yes, absolutely right.
So
But
yes.
I would say that both play a part. I think the quality, I think the kind of content that's created is also very important. I could do all the optimization and I could do everything, but then finally, if I put out bad content, where, your editorial team puts in so much effort, I think that's for a reason why we put so much of an effort to create that content, because optimization and marketing comes later. After, if I put the good stuff, then I will get the good results. But if I put the bad stuff, no matter how much market I do, people will not read it. So finally, I think it's
Yeah.
both are very important. I would say 50-50%. And good content would, ideally, what you said is a mix of both creation and the way it is marketed. So I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much for
But
joining
thank you so
me
much.
on this call, and let's looking forward to doing more sessions with you. And hope everyone watching this video understood what is good content and how it can impact your business. Thank you so much for joining us, and look forward to having you more on shows on Grow with Content. Uh, Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.